What's up guys, and welcome to the 2014 Ford Fiesta ST. I can't believe it's taken me this long to finally get a Fiesta ST on the channel. This isn't the first time I've driven a Fiesta ST. My buddy Matt, who used to co-host my ZCT podcast, used to own one as his track car, but I never had a good opportunity to do a proper review of that car. So today, we're gonna make it happen. Tyler, the owner of this car, has done a few mods to it to make it handle and perform better. He has the Mountune MP215 tune. It bumps up the power up to 215 horsepower and 236 pound-feet of torque. These cars come with a 1.6 liter inline four-cylinder engine with a factory rating of 197 horsepower and 202 pound-feet. So we're looking at gains of around 18 horsepower and almost 35 pound-feet of torque with the Mountune package. Of course, this car's front-wheel drive. It did not come with a limited slip differential as an option, so we do have an open diff, McPherson strut front suspension, a very archaic torsion beam rear suspension, but this car is very lightweight. When new, it weighed just over 2,700, but Tyler stripped out the rear interior, so this one should be very close to 2,600 pounds. We're on 17-inch wheels with Firestone Indy 500 tires all around. They're a 205 section width, electric power steering, optional Recaro seats, which are way better than the base seats. These hold me in really well. With it all the way to the floor, I might be sitting slightly too low. Raise it up just a bit. Oh, and Tyler has the Mountune Clubsport suspension, which uses the Bilstein B8 shocks. 71,000 miles on the odometer. Let's take this thing for a drive. Keyless start. Now this engine shows an indicated red line of just over 6,500, maybe that's 6,700 RPM, but the rev limiter is actually just below 6,500, so we'll shift around 6,000 RPM. So this is the quintessential economy car turned into a little hot hatch. It's just a great recipe for fun, isn't it? Second gear. A little bit of torque steer. 236 pound-feet of torque. Open diff. That's a lot of torque to deal with. Very grabby brakes. Also, this steering rack, despite being EPS, pretty good. Very good on-center feel. Barely any slop at all. Not the easiest to heel toe because number one, the brakes are so grabby at the top of the pedal, and then the gas pedal is really far recessed, so heel toe is not easy. Woo. There's quite a bit of rev hang from this little 1.6 liter. Do have to be a little slower on your upshifts in terms of your clutch action. Oh wow, this car loves to rotate. Turning into a corner off throttle, you can feel the rear end just want to slightly, not even come around, but it just wants to help you turn. That's really, really excellent. Wow, this thing is so much fun. What a fun little car. And I've only been driving it for 2 minutes. It's like a little puppy dog. It just wants to get up and go. It wants to turn. It has an energetic little engine. The steering feel is pretty good. First gear. There's that rev hang. Oh yeah, you gotta be really patient. Let's see if we can heel toe here. Oh, it's not easy. Plenty of straight line performance. I know these engines have a reputation of overheating, especially on track, but at canyon speeds, it feels like it's making plenty of power. I do feel the torsion beam rear end though. It's not the most sophisticated. When you go over bumps mid-corner, the whole thing kind of just shimmies a little bit. But that's part of the fun, because the rear end of this car is so lively, and in some ways it makes a front-wheel drive car a little more exciting to drive, in my opinion, when the rear's not super settled and hunkered down. Very different experience to my Integra Type S or the Civic Type R, where the rear end is just pinned. I gotta love how light this car feels, 2,600 pounds. You do have to be patient coming out of second gear corners because of that open differential, but corner entry in this car is a riot. It just loves to rotate. The 6-speed manual, very nice. Low effort, very precise and easy to use. The clutch is a little grabby from first gear, but overall, very easy car to drive. You can just hop in and start pounding on it. Now, while we're waiting for this road to clear up, interior impressions, very much an economy car. Now granted, it's a 2014. I believe these were produced until the 2019 model year. Let's just say that you don't buy this car for refinement. You can daily drive it, just don't expect the best materials quality, the lowest NVH, the best ride quality, and that sort of thing. That being said, nowadays you can pick these up for $10,000 all day long. And at that price, might this just be one of the most fun and everyday usable cars you can buy? Before we answer that question, let's finish up this drive. Oh, that rev hang though. And these brakes are just so grabby. I wish they were a little more progressive at the top of the pedal. Yeah, it wants to rotate all right. The gearing's very short. I think it requires 2 shifts to get to 60 miles an hour. Third gear. Oh yes. The front grips and the rear just wants to rotate. That is what you want in a front-wheel drive performance car. The Fiesta ST does that balancing act between the front and rear axles beautifully. But see, over those bumps mid-corner, that's where you feel the limitations of the rear suspension geometry. But what can you expect for an economy car, or a hot hatch based on an economy car? Wow, what a fun car. Fiesta ST might be in my top 5 most fun to drive front-wheel drive cars of all time. I haven't ranked that list per se, but the other contenders that are up there for sure, DC2 Integra Type R, goes without saying at this point, one of the best front-wheel drive cars of all time. The Mini Cooper JCW GP2, again, a very fun little front-wheel drive car, also open differential, and this Fiesta ST might be up there with that company. All 3 cars have something in common. They weigh sub 2,700 pounds or so, and they're not overpowered like a lot of the modern front-wheel drive cars. This is no Civic Type R killer in a straight line or on a racetrack, but the fun factor might be even higher than the Civic Type R or Integra Type S, because it just doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not a track monster. It's something that you just want to take on a back road and flick into every single corner. You gotta love it for that. There aren't that many front-wheel drive cars nowadays where you can say that. In fact, I can't think of a single one offered in the US brand new, outside of maybe the Elantra N, but that's still a bit of a different kind of front-wheel drive performance car. It's much bigger, it's much heavier. It is a lot of fun to drive, but it doesn't have just the whimsical nature of this Fiesta ST and cars like the GP2 JCW Mini Cooper and the DC2 Integra Type R. Maybe whimsical isn't the right word to describe the DC2R, at least. That one feels a little bit more serious. But the overall feel of lightweight, tossability, light controls, direct steering, That's what makes these cars so much fun to drive. And the mods that Tyler has done has elevated the performance for sure. Just a simple intake and tune to open up that engine. I believe he has a rear motor mount as well, put the power down to the ground a little bit better. And the Mountune Clubsport suspension does make it feel pretty good on a canyon road. It does a decent job at handling bumps. So let me know what you think of the Fiesta ST. Personally, I think it's a huge shame we don't get this car from Ford anymore. Even the Focus ST is no longer offered here. Ford, when they put their minds to it, they're capable of making some of the most fun driver's cars you can buy, especially for the money. So big shout out to Tyler. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.